rock that beat.
I thought episode 158 was okay. That's mostly what my general consensus for the episode kind of just centered around. I thought it was okay. I'm still interested. I thought it was interesting enough that I kept watching, but ultimately it just kind of just felt like a setup episode for more interesting stuff that's going to happen next week in next week's episode. And yeah, that tends to happen a lot with the show and even for a lot of other animes as well. But other animes have been able to do it in a way that's still far more interesting and, entertaining to watch, and ultimately leads to something that ends up being something incredible and something awesome. Sometimes Boruto doesn't even really do that, and it's just highly disappointing because I felt like there was a lot of padding. I felt like there was a lot of padding within this episode, and a lot of just scenes that felt like they went on too long and just kept it from anything else interesting from happening. I can't really explain what it was because I'm gonna be honest, I already kind of forgot what happened in most of the episodes besides like a couple of moments. That's kind of it, like the Mr. President guy of the company who has a guy who got lost who was gonna go and do research that was gonna lead to limb regeneration and organ regeneration, and then eventually that would lead to a point where they could maybe potentially find a way to be able to reverse aging or make aging slow down. He ends up being a part of the expedition that ends up being a part of the group rather that is going to go and look for the guy, but ultimately just I felt like it was weird for them. I felt like it was weird for him to be there, and the only reason why he is there is because he's an obvious member of one of the Kara organization members, which I already mentioned in the last video. But that's the only really thing I feel like the episode does, for this arc, because the Kara arc is, ongoing now. The arc is already started, and they gotta connect Kara in some way with this episode by having one of the guys who's one of the members of the organization be there and and be doing something, right, that's gonna lead to the whole grand scheme with what Kara is even trying to do to begin with, which I thought in the first place was about bringing the vessels of the Otsutsuki together and bringing back the Otsutsuki clan and motherfuckers like Momoshiki and etc., and that they were gonna come back, because I thought Boruto was a vessel for Momoshiki Otsutsuki. And I thought that was the whole plan. The whole plan kind of centered around that, but I don't know. It just felt like that wasn't really what the episode was trying to convey. Well, obviously that wasn't what they were trying to do right now. They're not trying to fit all the information of one single episode within the arc. They have to, explain that as the arc continues on and on and on. But I just feel like this episode just wasn't interesting enough as a setup episode. It kind of just sets up a couple of characters. One of the characters sees a lot of combat even during the time of peace. Mugino, I think that's what his name was, and I actually kind of like this character, but only because of the simple fact that even during a time of peace between the great nations, he's actually seeing a lot of combat and a lot of danger happen between the smaller nations, and the fact that they are still basically at each other's throats at all times. And I thought that was interesting enough for a character, quote, character trait, but he doesn't even really do anything, and the most that he ends up doing for the episode in terms of Boruto is that you shouldn't trust people that you just met. And I feel like that's going to come back later on and bite Boruto in the ass with Kawaki, right? I feel like that's the only main reason why he even says that, which just seemed weird for some reason. I feel like they could have done that in a way that made more sense, that came from a character that made more sense for him to tell him that, but that's kind of just it. The episode was only really just okay, and it was fine. I'm still invested. I still want to watch, and I still want to see more, but I just felt like they could have done some things in a certain way that was more interesting, and I felt like they could have cut some stuff out to put more interesting stuff in. That's kind of it. That's all it really did, and that's all it really was. And yeah, I don't really have anything else really to say about the episode. It was fine, whatever. Everything was fine. I didn't really see anything stellar about the episode. It was just okay. So yeah, that's the end of the episode. That's the end of the review. If you enjoyed, leave a like. If you didn't, unlike, I don't care. I'll see you guys next one. I'm out. Peace.